30 minutes past the hour. Good evening and welcome to News Tonight. Here are our top stories for this evening's broadcast. Ministry of Health accuses nurses PRO for Ridge Hospital of peddling lies as investigative committee findings revealed no nurse sustained injury during alleged assault by Ralph St. Williams.
Every nurse at Ridge Hospital. We spoke to the nurses who were on.
During the sprinkling ceremony in Teshie. We do some politics as well as MPP flag bearer hopeful Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia calls for unity among aspirants as he files nomination earlier today.
If instead of focusing your guns on Bawumia, you focus on holding the government accountable, it's not within. We need unity to win.
Bring you up to speed with some latest business updates as the Ghana Statistical Service urges for targeted policies to address growing challenge of youth unemployment in the country. And later on the foreign front, leaders outraged after Russian strikes killed 19 and damaged EU's HQ in Kiev in the Ukrainian region. We've got the details of these stories and many others coming up in the next 60 minutes broadcast, to stay with us here on News Tonight. Many thanks for joining this evening's broadcast. My name is Emmanuel. Agyabeng. The GHOne Municipal Security Council has launched investigations into violent clashes at Teshie. 2 people have been confirmed dead and several others injured following the violent clashes during the Homowo sprinkling ceremony at Teshie on Tuesday, August 26. The deceased, identified as 30-year-old Eddie Blessing and 27-year-old Patrick Mama Martifio, were pronounced dead at Lekma Hospital after sustaining gunshot wounds. The clashes, sparked by rival groups during the early morning festivities, saw stones thrown and sporadic gunfire exchanged, prompting police intervention. Though calm was briefly restored to allow Paramount Chief Becholo Ni Ashite Akomfra III to perform traditional rites, violence later resumed between factions loyal to different traditional leaders. The disturbances overwhelmed hospitals as families rushed to check on relatives, but police and health officials eventually brought the situation under control. The GHOne Municipal Security Council assured perpetrators will face justice and extended condolences to the bereaved families. Well, the Greater Accra Regional Minister Linda Obenewa-Akwele-Oklu has chastised some underperforming metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives in the region. According to her, some of the MMDCEs are complacent in their duties and solely focused on reaping the benefits associated with the positions. She expressed disappointment at the pervasive filth that have engulfed some municipalities.
The livid-looking Greater Accra Regional Minister, Linda Obenewa-Akwele-Oklu, did not mince words when addressing the MMDCs on 3 thematic areas such as sanitation, street light, and unauthorized erection of billboards. She expressed disappointment at negligence of some MMDCs in respect of their key performance indicators.
I'm extremely disappointed with the level of inefficiency and complacency being exhibited by some of our chief executives. At this stage, excuses are nothing but an embarrassment to the people we serve. Leadership is not about sitting in offices and enjoying the perks of your position, but it's about delivering results, and right now many of you are simply sleeping on your jobs. Let me be clear. You have 2 weeks only to ensure that every single one of those lights is fixed. No excuses, no delays. I will personally monitor this directive, and let me serve this notice. Any chief executive who fails to comply will be exposed and reported. If you cannot manage this basic task, then you have no business occupying that office.
Some metropolitan, municipal, and district chief executives took turns to highlight their operations so far after assuming office.
The 3,000 streetlights that we intend to install must by necessity be all-inclusive solar, because one of the challenges we have with keeping the lights on right now is the theft of underground cables, broken down poles by motorists, non-functioning components, and weakened underground cables, those existing, and then the unavailability of mounted streetlight poles in many areas.
Move off the pavements. I beg you. Next week I'm having a press conference, and this time, the first time was very cool, but this time I'm going to enforce the laws.
GHOne is trying to do, because we are the gateway to Accra, we are trying to also complement government effort by decongesting Accra. By so doing, we want to make GHOne attractive and create jobs, make it cleaner, so that those who are traveling from the North Ashanti region, Eastern region to Accra, when they get to GHOne, they will get a job, they will find a better place to stay, and therefore will not proceed to Mayor's zone. So they can stay in Amasama Enclave and then decongest Accra.
The minister announced the procurement of 3,000 street lights to be distributed to the metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies to augment the Greater Accra Street Light Enhancement Project. She tasked the MMDCs to be proactive or consider resigning from their positions, as she intends to report non-performing MMDCs for appropriate actions.
Let's have a further conversation on this subject matter, as we have been joined now by local governance expert Dr. Richard Fiadomo. Doc, many thanks for your time this evening. On the score of complacency and underperformance, what do you largely believe is accounted for what we are recognizing and even has come to the attention of the Greater Accra Regional Minister?
Yeah, thank you very much. Please,
Dr. Richard Fiadomo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
We are trying to reach out to Dr. Richard Fiadomo. I do understand that you can hear me now. Now, I was asking earlier that concerning the matters of underperformance and even highlighted by the Greater Accra Regional Minister on the part of complacency, what largely is accounting for this when we speak of our MMDCEs?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think for me, the regional minister, the position that she occupies is supposed to be supervising and monitoring the activities of the MMDCs in Greater Accra. So to the extent that having been in office for some time and the MMDCs having been in office 3 months, getting to 4 months now, I would have thought that it is too early for her to come to the conclusion she came to when she met the MMDCs. To the extent that some of them are sleeping on their jobs, I think that it is too strong a word to be used less than 6 months in office. If the MMDCs are sleeping on their job, then to an extension, the regional minister himself is also sleeping on the job. Because there's this popular saying that if you don't inspect, don't expect. So if having been in office for a certain number of months now, and the MMDCs are sleeping on the job, then whoever is supervising the MMDCs, I'm sorry, is also sleeping on the job. But I want to say that for me, it is too early, less than 6 months, to assess MMDCs and say that they are sleeping on the job. So I will not ascribe any inefficiency on the part of any chief executive less than 6 months into their administration. Let's not forget that many of them have not been chief executive before. So having come to occupy the position, some way, somehow, they have to learn on the job. The chief executives are technocrats who advise them and other things. So for me, the judgment of the regional minister, I think, is too harsh. But if really the chief executives are sleeping on the job, I dare say she too is also sleeping on the job.
On your very final points on the fact that these chief executives are learning on the job, it beggars believe that were there some missteps in the appointments, and perhaps we should have taken an approach where there is the universal adult service system put in place where we decide who becomes the municipal or district chief executive.
Oh, for me, the President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, when he was giving at the orientation of MMDCs, made it clear to the whole country and indeed the whole world that the current crop of MMDCs are the very last that are going to be appointed. So obviously measures are being taken to get chief executives to be elected through universal adult suffrage. But until we get there, the current status quo remains that the MMDCs are supposed to be supervised and monitored by the regional coordinating councils, which are headed by regional ministers. So the regional ministers should continue to perform the jobs or the actions that they are supposed to be taking that is in tandem with the Local Governance Act. They should do it. MMDCs should also do what they have to do. I am just saying that it is possible some MMDCs are not doing very well. I agree. But I'm just saying that let's give them at least 6 months in the office so that we can measure or gauge their performance. Anything less than 6 months, I think it is too early for us to be passing judgment whether they are sleeping or they are not sleeping. But the regional minister should also stop the lamentation and supervise the MMDCs, because the president, in one of his statements, made it clear that sanitation and waste management was going to be a key performance indicator for the MMDCs. So once the president has spoken, I want to believe that the regional minister should take it up from there and ensure that the KPI that has been given by His Excellency the President to the MMDs, she's able to monitor and ensure that they are working according to the plan or the KPI of the President. So for me, this regional minister is talking too much. The lamentation is simply too much. She should get onto the ground and make sure that any chief executive that is sleeping, she herself will wake them up. If not, then she herself is also sleeping on the job and somebody else might have to come and take over. So let's just have some time, at least 6 months, and be able to measure the chief executives very well. For me, it is too early for those strong adjectives of sleeping on the job.
Dr. Richard Fiadmo, thank you so much for your time on this subject matter. He is a local governance expert. It's now time for our biggest story on this evening's broadcast. On Insight tonight, the Ministry of Health is accusing the Public Relations Officer for Nurses at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital for peddling lies after committee findings revealed no nurse sustained injury during an alleged assault by Ralph St. Williams. According to the committee's report, diagnostic equipment required in the emergency unit was not functioning at the time, which hindered effective care. The report also states that the nurse involved in the altercation with Ralph St. Williams did not suffer any fracture or dislocation, contrary to earlier claims. Public Relations Officer for Nurses at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, Sarah Dankwa, is contesting the committee's conclusions. According to her, the hospital's management has video evidence showing Ralph Williams slapping a pregnant senior nurse during the incident, a crucial piece of evidence she says was not submitted because the committee failed to invite them to participate in the investigation.
The video very well. Immediately he entered, there were two people, one in black, one gentleman trying to use the monitor on somebody. He went straight to the one in black. It was a pregnant woman. He went to slap the face. The HB we checked on Monday was 10. So assuming...
Who went to slap the face?
Just check the video.
Which video? Because the video that we have, we don't see any slap.
Thank you very much.
So you have seen a video?
Yes. So
where there's a slap?
Because there are two cameras straight at the triage. So we don't listen to everything for evidential purposes and for purposes of being very unbiased. We use what will educate us. Did the triage nurse do this? So, for example,
okay. So Sarah, no, let's understand this, right, Joshua?
Yes.
You have a video.
Yes.
Where there was a slap.
Yes.
By the
on
same.
The face. Yes.
Ralph.
Yes.
Why have you seen that video? Because I haven't seen that video.
And the committee
did you present that video to?
I was not called into the committee.
But
the media has not gotten to me. Nobody has asked me for a video.
Do you have the video?
I can show you.
Can I have it?
Yes, once I leave the set, I'll show it. I'll give it to the producer.
Can I get the
No. For these purposes, I would give it to your producer,
No.
because I would not be ambushed on this show. Because at this moment,
I'm ambushing you. I'm trying to help.
No, what I'm trying to say is that we have had media. That's what.
Well, the Ministry of Health is accusing the Public Relations Officer for nurses at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, Sarah Dankwa, for peddling lies. Spokesperson for the ministry, Tony Goodman, spoke to my colleague, Sawami Yeheli.
I watched that interview with her, but she said she was sending you a video. Have you received the video?
I have not received the video yet.
Okay, so we can just, she was just lying on camera.
Maybe lying is too strong.
The other question is that whether we spoke to all the nurses. I'm not sure we are supposed to speak to every nurse at Ridge Hospital. We spoke to the nurses who were on duty on that day, spoke to the medical officers who were on duty, spoke to the security on duty, and then spoke to management. We did the opening with management and did a closing with management. So I'm not sure we are supposed to speak to every nurse. We asked them to bring evidence. They brought the evidence, and that is what we have used. She has just come to say she has a video. She should bring the video. We are not. We have not said that. We said this is just a report we have submitted. If you think that you have any other contrary evidence, just submit it and then we'll look at it.
Samuel Arthur is a health analyst. He joins me over the telephone lines for a conversation on this. Samuel, good evening and welcome to Insight on GHOne TV. Now, for us, the matter here largely concerns representation on the committee that was set up to look into the alleged assault by Ralph St. Williams. Do you believe that in the performance of good governance practices, perhaps there should have been representation of the nurses there on the committee, or was just enough that they were being invited to be questioned? Samuel, can you hear me?
So, good evening.
Good evening.
And to your cherished listeners, and thank you for having me. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Please proceed.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Please proceed.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes,
Hello?
you are.
Great. So it's good to have me on your news this evening. It's important that we look at this issue from a very broad perspective, and it's important now that we are looking at the composition of the committee. Now, I have a problem not particularly with the composition of the committee, but the posture of the nurses and the management of the hospital, supposedly after the committee's report is out. So, because if they felt for the sake of good governance and for the sake of fairness, they needed to be represented there, I guess immediately the committee was formed, they could have flagged this issue and then it would have been an issue for us to discuss. But for them to wait for the committee to finish its work and for them to come back to tell us that we are not on it, and for that matter, it is difficult for us to accept the findings, I think it's unfortunate. We cannot continue to go on that tangent. And I guess the Nurses and Midwifery Association, in this matter particularly, and also with the management of RAGE, should spare us and give us a break.
We are here to hear from the Ghana Registered and Nurses and Midwives Association, especially on this report that has come out from the Ministry of Health. But largely what we are seeing is a constant standoff between the ministry, that is the Ministry of Health, its minister, and especially the nurses. How best do we navigate the standoff? Because largely what we are looking at here now is positive. Someone, can you hear me? Samalata, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Great. I was saying that we are
Can you hear me now?
Yes, you are very audible.
Great.
Yeah, so I was pointing to the fact that we are constantly witnessing a standoff between the Ministry of Health, and then nurses. And what we are looking at here is largely positive patient outcomes, and both must play their role to ensure the achievement of this goal. How best do we navigate the situation we have at hand now?
Great. So it's an issue of looking at it from the various stakeholders actually that are involved in this matter. One, the ministry. Two, the Ghana Health Service. And then we are looking at the local, the facility, that is the Ghana, the Rich Hospital where this incident actually happened. For me, apparently, I think the minister coming in he came in too early. He's at the top, and he's supposed to be dealing with policy and new direction and all that. So for me, for an incident like that, which involved a nurse, which involved some disruption of activities in that manner, I guess it would have been good we got the implementing arm of the Ghana Health Service, the ministry, which is the Ghana Health Service. If for me, the Director General apparently went there, that would have been okay for me. But for the minister to walk in, I guess it's a matter of, he felt it's a grave issue, he had to come in, and then he had to show leadership, which I guess he did. He put together a committee of high caliber of people within the cadre of the health sector, and then they come out with a report only for the Nurses Association to come and tell us that because they don't have a representation, that they find it difficult to accept it. It's not right. You know, this posturing, for me, it's not something we can continue to deal with. So for me, the people who went through this, the committee people are people also within the health sector. And we want to find out what would be their interest to, for me, do something untoward against their own. So the report is out for us to look at. Let's not begin to look at the local situation, for example, at Rich Hospital, and begin to try to hold on to our own and protect our own. But let's look at it in a broad framework of, like, for example, this being just like the tip of the iceberg, because we know this issue happens in several other facilities. Let's look at the substance of the issues, the lessons to learn, and focus there. But I guess the posturing of the nurses is not something good to deal with. And for me, other people from the hospital commenting on this matter, it pushes me to remember a few of my Ghana lines. I guess it's from what time. The Ghana people will say, I'm in faith. I think it's becoming too many. Let cool heads remain. In case, of course, the nurse is the one who felt assaulted. She's the one who felt the pain. The problem I have here is, was there a competent clinician that actually took care of the nurse? Do we have details of the processes she went through and the treatment the diagnosis and the treatment she was giving? If we have all those things there, then it's easy to tell whether she had a fracture or not. But since the clinicians who went through this tell us she didn't have a fracture, let's not dwell on the matter. For me, it's the lessons we need to learn. The security we need to improve in that area. The seriousness and the emergency response attitude all of us need to have, particularly on the part of the nurses. And then also, we that go and seek care. It's important that we have clear education on the processes and protocols at the emergency point. So we don't go there with setting expectations, and when we don't get it, then we are forced to disrupt and do other things that is untoward.
Samuel Arthur, thank you so much for your expert insight into this particular matter. Samuel Arthur is a public health analyst, and with that, we wrap up Insight on News Tonight. Welcome back from the break. There's still news tonight on GHOne TV. We turn our focus to some politics and its related activities. Flag bearer hopeful of the new patriotic party, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, has urged unity among aspirants in the party's presidential primaries, stressing the need to direct their energy toward their political opponent, the ruling NDC. Addressing party members after filing his nomination at the headquarters of the party, the former vice president questioned the usefulness of internal attacks, arguing that the party and the country would gain more if aspirants focused on holding the government accountable while presenting a compelling vision for Ghana's future.
It was a charged atmosphere as hundreds of party faithful and supporters thronged the party headquarters to show solidarity for Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, accompanied by his wife Samira Bawumia. Arrival at the party headquarters sparked an exciting scene as supporters chanted songs of victory for his comeback. Addressing party supporters a while after filing his nomination, former Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia urged party supporters to channel their energy into holding the current government accountable rather than tearing each other apart. He emphasized that unity remains the strongest weapon for the party ahead of the 2028 elections.
For the various candidates contesting the flag bearership, if instead of focusing your guns on Bawumia, you focus on holding the government accountable to show that you can lead the MPP in holding the NDC accountable. Our true opponent is not within. Our true opponent is out there. We need unity to win.
Whilst criticizing the current government of the handling of the economy, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia also pledged to restore all jobs lost under the NDC.
A future Bawumia government would recognize and reward the sacrifices of our grassroots. Many have lost their jobs under the current government, and we will restore their appointments when we come to office in 2029.
The clarion call for party supporters to endorse Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia did not only stop with the supporters, but also some bigwigs of the MPP.
If you love Bawumia, if you are working for Bawumia, refrain from attacking other opponents. Focus on his values, focus on his virtues, and sell him and market him to the delegate to deliver victory.
I'm very certain that if you're looking for a candidate that is more prepared within the party, if you're looking out for a candidate who is much more formidable, a candidate who is actually winnable, I think it's going to be Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia.
We believe that we are the next in line. The NDC definitely is not doing things well. And in 3 years, Ghanaians would be extremely tired of them. And we should be prepared to take over.
As a regional chairman, it is very good and easy to market an old candidate. He is the old candidate.
As the MPP flag bearership contest takes shape, the real challenge lies between balancing healthy competition and ensuring the preservation of internal cohesion. For many of the supporters, the big deal is about not only electing a flag bearer, but a candidate who can win the 2028 elections for the MPP. For GHOne News, Obed Kingaglo, MPP party headquarters, Accra.
Well, still at the MPP's headquarters in Accra, former Education Minister and Member of Parliament for the Bosompio constituency, Dr. Yaw Osei Educhum, assured that he will run a decent and issues-based campaign as he vows to lead the MPP into the 2028 general elections. Speaking after submitting his nomination forms at the party's headquarters to contest the party's flag bearership come January 31, 2026, Dr. Educhum stressed that his focus will be on ideas and policies, not personal attacks.
Yaw Osei Educhum joins other prominent contenders who have filed to contest in the party's primaries, including former Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, former Asin Central MP Kennedy Ohene Japon, former MPP General Secretary Kobna Ejie Japon, and Abetifi MP Dr. Brian Champong. At the MPP headquarters, hundreds of his supporters showed up in solidarity for his candidature. Addressing a charged crowd of party supporters, the former education minister pledged to eliminate poverty if given the nod to lead Ghana.
Is about waging war against poverty and war. Nothing concerns me more than the issue of the working poor. You are working by your poor.
Former education minister and member of parliament for Bosomtwe also pledged to run a campaign that is clean as he seeks to lead the New Patriotic Party into the 2028 general elections.
I'm going to wage a very clean campaign. A campaign that will just talk about what I have done and what I will do for my party and for my nation. A campaign without acrimony. A campaign without insults. A campaign full of respect. And that is what my campaign will be about.
Some campaign team members of Dr. Yao Seidu-Chum also touted his achievement as education minister and rallied support for his election.
When he was Minister for Education, he was able to, renovate, was able to metamorphose the whole educational ecosystem into the current stage we find ourselves. He's the only black Ghanaian to move outside the country, USA, to establish 3 working schools in the USA. Such an individual is an individual Ghana needs at this particular crossroad.
If he's not ready to serve, where from STEM education? Where from the school buildings? Where from all the things that he is doing? So I'm urging everybody that we should give him the chance because he is ready. He has so many things installed. He knows where to get help from Ghana. He knows what to do.
The clarion call on every party member that we need to rally support behind Dr. Yossi Educhu. He is the one that the Ghanaians are waiting for. A man, when his name is mentioned, you don't hear of any scandal. You don't hear of any negative publication about it.
The flag bearership contest of the MPP, slated for January 31, 2026, is expected to be fiercely contested as the party seeks a leader capable of uniting its base and positioning it strongly for the next general election.
Away from politics, let's talk about national peace and cohesion. The Member of Parliament for Wawes, Peter Lanchin-Tobu, has appealed to factions in the recent Benyiri conflicts to reflect on their shared history and embrace peace. He made the call during a courtesy visit to the chief of Tuna in the Solak Tunakaba district of the Savannah region.
The Wa West MP, Peter Lanchin-Tobu, led a delegation to the palace of the Tuna chief, Gariba Tunarua Safo Amantina, to calm tensions following clashes between the Gonja and the Brifo communities in Benyiri.
All we are saying is that let's reflect on history and ensure that our peaceful coexistence can be reactivated once again. We don't need this. Our enemy is poverty. Our enemy is deprivation. Our enemy is lack of development. I'm sure if you travel from Accra to Tuna, as I stand here and you pass through the road, you will appreciate the fact that the enemy is not one of your brothers. Your enemy is not one of your sisters. Your enemy is to ensure that this place develops. And I believe that the chiefs and the people will all put our heads together to put this conflict behind us and make sure that the Savannah region is one of the best regions in Ghana, and that the Upper West region, a sister region, will become an outstanding region in this country.
The Tuna chief, Gariba Tunarua Safo Amantina, expressed concern about the conflicts, describing it as needless given the poverty and deprivation in the area.
If you take our situation, our poverty situation, if you consider it, you will never fight anybody. Why should we fight? And like I said, which I'll repeat, let's give what is Caesar to Caesar and what is the Lord to the Lord. And let everybody be in his or her lane so that there will be no foul.
The Member of Parliament is also expected to visit the Chief of Kalubarua Amalia Saka, who lost his son in the clashes, as well as the Chief of Sola, Abdullahi Nungbaso, to console them and reinforce his peace message. The ongoing Benyiri conflict has resulted in several deaths and injuries, leaving the communities deserted.
Let's still stay within the area for an update on the latest happening over there. Salifu Adams joins me with more. Salifu, what is the current situation over there? Are we to expect some more relative count?
Thank you very much. It's actually true that on the grounds here today, the Honorable Member for Parliament for Wild West has made a courtesy call on the Kinawura to actually make address to the peace that they are smoking within today being 2 days today. Actually, Honorable Peter Entre Dumbi visited first of all, when he arrives here, he paid a courtesy call on the Kinawura, Tafo, Amantana, and he further proceed to Kalba, where this incident has actually happened. From there, he make a move to Kung. That is also part of where the lobbies have also settled. And lastly, he finally end at Sola, where Solaura has also situated in Sola, where some other houses have also been blazed because of this conflict that actually happened with these two functions. He actually assured the people of Sola, Tuna, Kalba, and all the areas he has visited to smoke peace and make sure that it's actually what we should be chasing and healing for. We shouldn't let conflict should be what is actually coming to divide us. Even though he's a member of Parliament for Wild West, but the other tribes who settle in these areas are his brothers and sisters. That is why he himself, as a member of Parliament from Wild West, has made a move. It's because he's a peace developer who has been to peace servant. So currently, he has met Solaura, and Solaura has also assured him that as he has come, even though there were some other chiefs or some other members who have also come to him for this, for them to cease fire, but for his visit alone has made him to have a release now. So he's assuring him that whatever be the case, and anything the Solaura and Tunawura, Kungura, and Kalbawura would do to make sure that peace prevails in these areas, they will do that.
Salifu, thank you so much for bringing us up to speed on what is happening there. In our subsequent broadcast, we'll bring you more from the area. Salifu Adams is a local reporter over there. Let's now bring you the latest in our world of business.
Business Brief is brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
The Ghana Statistical Service is urging targeted policies to address the growing challenge of youth unemployment. Latest figures show a marginal drop in the national unemployment rate from 13.3% in the third quarter of 2024 to 13.1% in the fourth quarter. But youth unemployment remains alarmingly high at 22.5% among those aged 15 to 35 and 32% among those between the 15 to 24 brackets. Government statistician Dr. Alhassan Idrisu is calling for a scale-up of apprenticeships, graduate employment schemes, and job placement services to tackle the crisis.
2024, youth unemployment remains alarmingly high at 22.5% for ages 15 to 35 and 32% for ages 15 to 24. For government, we are proposing that there's a scale-up of apprenticeships, graduate employment schemes, and also job placement services. There would also be the need for government to reform and expand the TVET to match training with demand. We recommend also that government should provide affordable credit to small businesses to boost job creation, especially for women and youth. Government cannot be the only body providing jobs. So the role of government is to provide the enabling environment for those jobs to be created, for the economy to expand and for the jobs to be created. And usually the best institution that creates a job is the private sector. So the private sector should work together with government, and government must work together with the private sector to expand the economy and for the jobs to be created.
Stakeholders in the energy sector are calling on governments across Africa to prioritize their commitments to private sector regarding energy agreements. According to them, government's inability to honor energy agreements hinder sustainability and stability, resulting in capital losses for investors and therefore must be addressed. This concern was raised at the conclusion of a two-day Future of Energy conference held in Accra. Calvin Powell reports.
Policy ASAP, 600 people across Africa lack access to electricity, and over 700,000 people have succumbed to fatalities due to the use of unclean energy for cooking. Following the two-day Future of Energy conference, stakeholders lamented African leaders' indebtedness to the private sector on energy agreements, which hinders sustainability and stable power across the continent.
Governments sometimes are unable to pay their debt on time, even though they guarantee projects, and that creates a lot of risk. So we are not developing market-based solutions and also tailored subsidies that can actually be absorbed by the countries, and that is creating a lot of problems. So from the government side, we need to address commitment to paying debts, and also make sure that the banks have clarity on what they can put their money in, and also be guaranteed that those investments will be paid for.
As world leaders push for net zero emissions by 2050 to combat climate change, energy sector players demand an enabling environment through favorable legal regimes to promote bankable projects at the sector.
Almost every year there are new taxes, there are new waivers, so people cannot adequately model their financials to look at how bankable their projects are. And I think that was a big concern. How do we quickly wrap up all our tax demands to make sure that there's that stability for businesses to model? You know that in 10 years, this is the taxes that you're going to be paying. And based on that, you can do your profitability assumptions for projects to go. If we are not able to make the context predictable relative to tax, that creates a problem for investors, to now be able to model that risk into their financials.
The two-day conference brought together stakeholders in the energy sector, governments, academia, policy think tanks, civil society, and development partners from across the continent and globally for expert discussions to propel policy directions in achieving sustainable and cleaner energy, thereby eliminating energy poverty across Africa.
Now, Ghana becomes the first country in Africa and the second largely in the world to secure a forest law enforcement governance and trade licensing agreement with the European Union beginning October 8, 2025, or timber and timber products from Ghana under this license will gain automatic entry into EU markets, marking the end of a 16-year journey of reforms in forest governance and sustainability.
Ghana's forestry sector has reached a major milestone. After years of reforms in legality, assurance, transparency, and traceability, the country has signed an agreement with the European Union to begin issuing its Forest Law Enforcement Governance and Trade (FLEGT) timber licenses from October 8, 2025. Ghanaian timber and timber products covered by the license will automatically enjoy fast-tracked access to the European markets.
Ghana has assumed the important responsibility of providing its timber legality assurance system, and that remains robust and dependable for the global timber market. Equally important, this achievement strengthens the cooperation between our parties. It demonstrates what we can achieve together when we all stay committed to a shared vision and work together across borders.
Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel says the agreement is proof of Ghana's commitment to sustainable forest management and the rule of law.
An environment where transparency and accountability prevail, and where investors can have the confidence to conduct business. It also places us in a stronger position to respond proactively to new global demands, including soon to be operational the EU deforestation regulation.
EU Ambassador Erkad Rosali adds that the license will give Ghanaian exporters a competitive edge by reducing compliance hurdles and guaranteeing traceability for European buyers.
In terms of timber produced and exported, this will attract investment and attract ability to create jobs. So it's only a win.
Officials say the new framework will not only boost timber trade, but also support Ghana's long-term reforestation efforts and sustainable economic growth.
That'll be it for the business brief. We have sports up next.
The business brief was brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
Many thanks for joining me here on Sports Brief. I am Monica Bukari. Let's begin with boxing. And current WBO African bantamweight champion Theophilus Lopez Alote has set his sights on the biggest prize in boxing, a world championship belt. Speaking on the game, Alote revealed that beyond his continental success, his dream is to rise through the ranks and become an undisputed world champion.
If a world title shot come, I'm ready to go. Yeah, because what I have to pass through, I've already passed through. From the national coming to Africa. So from Africa, I have to go to the world level.
Sure.
And now I'm in Africa, so I'm ready for the world title because the person holding the world title, it doesn't do anything extraordinary. You just have to train, do everything with your teammates, arrange everything and stuff, go there, go for the victory. So now I'm ready for it. If I get world title shot now, just have to prepare myself and go for the world title. And they should be expecting me fighting, the WBC African belt. Definitely, very soon I'll be fighting the WBC African belt, so they should expect that from me. So all I have to need their support in press and everything, because definitely if I'm going to fight the WBC, I have to fight someone from outside Ghana, so it's not easy at all. But so far as I've beat 2 international people in here, both Nigeria and Benin, definitely I can do it again. So I need their support in everything.
Now, meanwhile, Alote's coach and manager Asari has expressed gratitude to everyone who supported the boxer's journey so far. He urged fans to keep rallying behind the WBO African bantamweight champion, while calling on corporate bodies and stakeholders to throw their weight behind Alote's quest for global success.
The youngest world champion that we've had is 23. 23 was the youngest age that Ghana has been able to use to get the world title. I think Dogbe and Ike did those things. We also can be there. And also, we want to at least go further, get the title, and then go for other things like undisputed title, unifying titles, and all those kind of things, because it has not happened in our history. So we want something new into our history, and we know we can do that. We are working together, and we are a strong team. And if you want to come forward, don't pass any other corners to make anything. And when you come straight forward, things will go on well. And we appreciate teamwork, and we know that one person cannot do it. Definitely. You need support from all angles to be able to do it. That's why we've already get to knock the minister's door. So because he's a boss for the sports. And that's why we knock his door. And we are reminding him that we are still on course, and we are ready to deliver. We cannot just go. We need big opponent. Now we cannot fight just ordinary opponent. We need to fight.
Himself is not there.
We want to fight the big guys there. And that one, you have to bring them down. You have to pay their tickets. You have to give them a pass that they will have to follow to come.
Away from boxing, let's do football. And as part of efforts to revive the Ghana Premier League and raise standard of football in the country, the Minister for Sports and Recreation, Honorable Kofi Idi Adams, has begun engagements with corporate Ghana to push a new wave of transformation in the game. The Minister appealed to private sector to partner government in reshaping the Premier League into a more competitive and commercially attractive product capable of competing with leading leagues on the continent.
I know you are here today because you believe in this. The government did not only embrace, but the government has participated strongly and remains the backbone for this project. And like I said in the beginning, we will see to it that every person you move in is matched to performance. It raises the level of enthusiasm, the interest. Our game centers will become centers of interest where you see value of your investments. Government will continue to also build infrastructure, and we will invite you to partner us in that process and to take up also naming rights. We will be reorganizing our playing facilities, and companies are invited to take up rights of stunts, goalposts, and even the pitches. Not only the side adverts be interested in taking up naming rights.
And that'll be it for sports. My name is Monica Bukari Badu. Stay, we have GHOne up next.
Tonight's Ghanaian music star Gambo has earned a spot on the global Afrobeats Top 200 chart alongside American and Ghanaian singer Molly, thanks to the rise and success of his newly released single, Komatu Tapel. This puts two Guineans in the recent Shazam Global Afrobeats Top 200 chart. Molly claimed the #1 spot with her track Shake It to the Max, and Gambo ranked third with Komatu Tapel. Gambo also made history as the first ever Ghanaian artist to top a music chart in Nigeria, further solidifying his reputation as a boundary-breaking force in the African music industry. The milestone follows Gambo's recent US tour with Afrobeats icon Davido on his With that, we wrap up this evening's broadcast on News Tonight. My name is Emmanuel, and many thanks for your company. Have a wonderful evening.